I believe one of the reasons why paint markers have become so popular, it's because it's really, really fun to be able to paint on so many different surfaces with them. That's why today we are using this brand new box of acrylic paint markers that Arrtx sent me to paint on random stuff. Now, honestly, when they approached me, the idea for this video was different. I was going to illustrate something on paper, but as I started, it didn't feel natural. It felt a little bit forced and not fun, almost like work. And that's not what I want for my channel at all. So I thought, okay, what was fun? And I remember how much fun I had customizing my fake plant behind me. And I thought, yeah, that's what I want to do. I want to paint on something random, but I didn't have anything fun to paint here in my house. So before starting, I'm taking you shopping.
So I am taking you to a store that's really close to my house and it has a little bit of everything, almost like a Walmart. And I started on the crafting and art section where I decided I needed a box of crayons to try to use them on my coloring books. Then I just kept browsing to see if I could find anything interesting to paint. I saw some pencil cases and for a hot minute I thought about painting a whole suitcase. But I wasn't in the right mood for such a big project. Medical equipment? Wait, why is that in the store? Who knows? Furniture, again, way too big of a project, and a hard hat. I felt I could really rock a hard hat, but where would I use it? Construction materials, and then I found this shelf with so many water bottles, and I thought it would be a good idea to grab a shaker bottle because I've started working out this year, so I kinda need one. A lampshade was also an idea I was toying with, but no. How about these freaky figurines? Could I make them better somehow? Or some birds. I really thought for a while I could do something with these two. They are in urgent need of a makeover, and these are just scary. Okay, I would love to have the budget or a small kit to justify the purchase so I could customize one of these. How much fun would that be? Regular hats. That made more sense. Grab one of those, and while in the clothing section, how about some shoes? Some Air Force Ones? These are $10. If you want them to say Air, you need to pay like 100 more. While I was browsing shoes, I saw these loafers and I really, really wanted to customize the ones with the little heart, but they didn't have them in my size or anything close to it. So onto the fake plant section, I thought maybe I could find a huge plant, but all they had were tiny ones, so I passed. And I thought my best bet would be to find something wooden to paint on, so I went to the wooden kitchen gadgets and I found these coasters. Grabbed those, and after that swift shopping trip, I was back at my desk. I'm lying, that wasn't swift. I was there for over an hour just strolling around. But truly, back to my desk, and here are the markers we're using today. And I do love that the case has little slots in it so they won't move, because I like to keep them in the same rainbow order. And in case you haven't seen these, the way you use them is you have to shake them to get the pigments well mixed and then pump the tip a little bit to activate them. Here in Quito, because of the altitude and the air pressure, I always get a little leakage, but that doesn't happen everywhere. I did swatch all of these, although you know swatching is not my favorite thing, but I really wanted to get familiar with the colors because there are so many of them. And I used this sample page for a coloring companion book I'm creating. I'm still working on it, but this came in handy for now. The coasters already had a design printed on them, so the first thing was to cover that with solid colors. I like the fact that just the half was painted, so I used tape to keep it like that. For whatever reason, I really do not know what happened. My brain thought the printed design was crooked, so I tried to correct it. But now seeing the footage, I was wrong. It was okay. All of them were okay. I didn't know that then, so I started to apply my color with my first marker, and like I said, all of them are going to leak a little bit here on their first use because of the altitude. But that's okay, that paint was not going to get wasted, I just used the brush to spread it around. To really cover that existing print, I had to apply a second layer, and because the markers are still super juicy, again I had to use my brush, and after that it was easier to go over with the marker and just apply the third and final layer. When I had all of the backgrounds done is where I noticed that the first coaster was okay and it was me who made it crooked. Thankfully, it wasn't that apparent, so I left it and then instantly got happy again from peeling the tape off from all of them. Time to have fun, and I wanted to paint some colorful hearts. At first, I thought I would pick a color palette to use with each circle, but when I got to painting, that idea was quickly forgotten. To draw the hearts, I used a small piece of paper to create a template since I want all of them to be the same size. Drew my first heart, and when I started painting on it, I realized it was a little bit too high for what I wanted to do. So before the paint dried, I wiped it with a wet one, redrew the heart a little lower, and then I started painting on all of them. I got a solid heart and flames on all of the coasters as my base shape so I could add details on top, which is the fun part. Painting little details is where this becomes interesting, but I have to tell you, mistakes were made. A lot of mistakes were made. And I also changed my mind on a lot of details as I worked. But the great thing about paint markers, like I always say, is that you can paint over stuff and just fix it. These are very saturated. It will cover anything you need. The way I was working on these was I was adding one layer of details at a time to each one, and then I was switching to the next coaster as the previous one dried. I was taking turns with them as I progressed with every design slowly. And like I said before, I didn't keep the color palettes I had chosen for each one. I ended up just having all of the markers around me using all colors randomly. Here, I was trying to make a design made of dots, but I didn't like it, so I just moved the paint with a brush to keep it flat and then painted on top again. I think this is such a nice project that you can do in one sitting, but you can also carry through some days and enjoy it slowly. You could get together with your family or friends and create some. It's really, really nice and simple. You get a bright, beautiful result, and being able to make mistakes and just paint over them makes it relaxing as well. So here are my 6 coasters. I am obsessed with these. Because these are for me, at first I thought I was going to paint them with neutral colors, but I'm so happy I didn't because I think these look very, very beautiful. I did spray varnish this. I again used my canvas varnish, which worked perfectly, so I don't know what to tell you. I used the same varnish on everything. But let's move on to the hat. I was so excited about this one, and the fact that this hat was $3 really took some of the pressure of getting it right, so I wasn't scared about it at all. For this one, I did choose a color palette, which I stuck to. Now, all of this stuff I'm customizing today is for myself this time, so because I love hearts, I'm painting hearts again. I drew a big heart on the middle of my design, which I loosely sketched with a light marker. I was really free about this process, and my idea was super painterly. I didn't really have a plan or a sketch for any of the projects. Like I said in my intro, I wanted to have fun. I wanted to truly enjoy the process of just trying things out, and yeah, this is a very inexpensive hat, so I was happy to do that. I don't know if you know this about Panama hats, but they are actually made here in Ecuador. And real Panama hats are very finely woven. They are amazing, but can get super expensive. So using an actual Panama hat would have intimidated me a bit, but this hat was fun to use. You can see the heart wasn't showing up well on the ribbon, so I covered it entirely with some clear gesso to even out the surface and allowed the marker to go on top. And that actually worked perfectly. I was super happy, so I painted the heart, and as I continued to work, I also added gesso on the ribbon where I painted leaves. Sorry, that was really out of frame and hard to see, but you get the idea. I had blue in my color choices because I thought it would give it a nice punch, but once it was on the hat, I ended up not liking it, so again, just paint on top of it and remove the blue speckles. Towards the end, I thought it would be a good idea to add some neutrals and dark colors for contrast. So I started to add details with the white, a dark brown, and of course with black. Outlined some of the hearts so it would be more evident that they are hearts and not more leaves, and I also created an outline for the center heart. Few more dots here and there and done. Love, 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 love it. I can see me wearing it outside already. I really, really like it, and I'm super proud of it. And bonus, this was such a fast project to make. Maybe an hour? I was so happy. So now to my shaker bottle. Because I painted each item on a different day, I had way too much time to overthink what I would paint on the bottle. So I really started to pressure myself, thinking maybe I should come up with something extremely original, creative, or a new character, or something that was crazy exciting. And that started to stress me. So I really took some time to breathe and reflect a little bit on the purpose of painting this particular shaker bottle. Yes, I'm making a video out of it and sharing, but ultimately this bottle is for me. For my personal use to motivate myself to keep working out. To start and test the surface, I drew a letter. It's very slippery plastic, so I thought I would sand the surface a bit, but that looked a mess. So I just jumped in and started painting. Like I said, I decided to stop overthinking, so I was just freely doodling, making blobs that look like, well, hearts. I added dots and I was drawing the things I like. I also drew a bunny because I've been drawing lots of those for my new coloring book. And I did a lot of them for my Inktober project too, and I really, really love them. While I was doing the bunny, I noticed there's a side of the bottle where the plastic is different and has no texture. It's super slippery. So for that, I did end up using this wonderful sanding pen thing I got from Nerdy Crafter's Craft Kit. And I sanded the area of the ears perfectly. It was great because I was able to sand with precision and then just apply the paint on top. So from then on, for the next shapes, I drew an outline with my pencil, which you can't really see on camera, and then sanded the area inside that and then painted. I gave all of the shapes a second layer of paint to make them opaque, and then I started to write the phrase that I chose for my bottle. I got this from browsing on Pinterest, by the way. I chose stronger than yesterday to motivate myself. At first, I just wrote it very simply, and then I went back to make each of the letters thicker. I also added eyes on the bunny and spent more time making those words pop. Made the eyes of the bunny black, outlined the heart that's coming out of it, and added a few more shapes because I thought the space needed it. Finished by outlining the bunny and putting some shinies on its eyes. I definitely wanted to fix the paint on somehow because this is plastic after all, so I wrapped the cap with some cling wrap before spray painting the varnish on top. Do not want any toxic varnish anywhere near where my lips are gonna be. And as you can see, that varnish really makes the paint stick so it won't scrape off with your nail. Don't put it in the dishwasher now that it's painted. I know it's obvious, but one day I was in autopilot and I put the water bottle I painted for myself 2 years ago in the dishwasher. I just forgot about it. But here's my new bottle that is now so pretty and I'm happily using post-workout. That's it for today. I hope you enjoyed how I customized all of these items. Please let me know what other fun things you think I could paint on. See you next Friday and have the most wonderful day. Bye.